How you doing, guys?
So what's practice been like the last couple of days after that tough game on Saturday?
We had a spirited practice today. The guys practiced well, practiced hard. Didn't always practice well, but practiced hard.
How much have you watched Saturday night, the game?
I watched it a number of times, yeah, on Sunday especially.
Anything stand out to you?
I think you asked me about anything positive. I took more positive out of that than I thought after further review. So.
What else did you come
Such as?
across?
Well, I mean, I just reflect back and you watch the game at different periods in the first half. The game, if you make the simplest plays, not reinventing basketball or something, but just the most basic things like making a free throw, which guys at our level, and I know it's within our capability to do that the game would have been much closer, and then it wouldn't have gotten out of hand as quick as it did. And then from there, it just was battling, trying to, again, bring it to where we could get it to 10, and we got it to 15 at 2 different times. We showed some grit. Started the second half after a poor shooting first half, and then once we couldn't break through, and there were a couple of chances to get it lower than 15, and we never did. And once that happened, the most frustrating part was probably the last 7 minutes. And we made sure that we practiced hard the last 7 minutes today, just to not allow a game that should have been around 18 or 20 to get out of hand at the end. So that was the most disappointing part of the game.
Your assists are down. Is that more of a function you guys just aren't hitting shots, or is there a ball movement factor in that as well?
I think that again, reviewing it, I saw Remy is one of our primary creators. He creates for himself. He creates for others. He hit the lane at least 4 times, and either dropped it off to someone under the basket or threw it out to someone that was wide open. And you're going to get more assists if you have someone that could create a good shot for someone, and it's a two-way street. So if you don't make shots when you're open and you have a chance to capitalize, and then your assist numbers are going to be low. Now that's way low, though. We have to do a better job of moving the ball and sharing the ball.
Have guys responded well to your message about trying to do more if their shots aren't falling? Like Kamani, he was in transition and getting blocks and stuff like that in that game.
Yeah, again, in our film session, he was pointed out numerous times about someone that brought the appropriate energy to that game and fight. He took away 3 baskets, at least maybe 4 with blocks, and then he realized we weren't making shots from 3, and he was alert enough to put himself in a good position. He got a couple of offensive rebounds as well, and so he was ready to play. He understood how big that game is, how heated it is. He's played in it, and he was ready for it. So we were happy with his minutes.
Is it important in a situation like this to stress the glass half full, in that you should eventually maybe start making more threes and can kind of turn things around?
Yeah, I mean, we have confidence in the guys that are shooting, and that's that doesn't get you anywhere or guarantee anything. But we are built a certain way, and there has to be balance. I don't think our threes were disproportionate to our shot attempts relative to how Arizona was defending us, and they contributed quite a bit to us not being able to score in the paint. And now we have to do a better job at just stepping in and making shots.
How's Romello? Has he progressed, or how's Romello the last couple days?
He looked good today in practice. He's moving very well, and we took the gloves off a little bit this week. We weren't going to baby him and give him more days to rest. He agreed with me on that plan, and so he was moving very well today.
What were your expectations coming into this season from Mickey?
My hope was that he would just get healthy and feel good. I as a former player that went through injuries, and I understand or can empathize with the frustrations he had last year, and just knowing that he was heading into the unknown with the surgery and whether that was going to change his situation. So the main thing is his health and how he feels, and he's been able to play pain-free, and he's contributing. He's very valuable in practice, and he's certainly in our plans moving forward.
When things aren't going well offensively, do you like to tinker with your starting 5, or do you just kind of let them play their way through it? I know you've been doing some different things with your rotation.
Yeah, I'm not going to guarantee. This isn't as push button as last year and maybe 2 years ago with settling into a lineup. We've been a little bit inconsistent, and it was funny. I was looking at social media and saw Monty Williams talking about being consistent with details and focus, and I've been trying to find a little more consistency so I could settle into more consistent rotations. But at this time there are a couple of guys that are not going to leave the starting lineup, but it's not across the board at this point.
What have you thought about your average caliber shot relative to previous seasons?
I mean, I've always valued the three-point line offensively, and no matter where I've coached, and I've always, I would say last year was probably a step back from the prior 2 years in terms of three-point shooting and using that as a weapon. This year we've regressed a little more, and there's still a lot of season left. But I do think that the composition of our lineup and what I've seen on the floor in the off season and the fall, we should be shooting better, and we should be a better three-point shooting team than last year's team, and it hasn't happened yet.
Are there times when in your coaching or playing career when it just didn't really seem like what you saw in practice matched what you saw in games in that regard?
I've tried over the years, and I can give you guys some hints about what I'm seeing and who's looking good and who I think or the vision I have. And this is probably as poor a job that I have done as forecasting how we played this year, especially on offense. I really believed, based on watching all these guys that we have perform in the summer, that I was worried about rebounding and defense, and I thought that our offense would be way better than it has been. So we'll keep striving to try and find it.
In the last 2 weeks of Kamani just getting more playing time, was that just because that he kind of took that role and became more involved in rebounding and just kind of the little things?
It's hard to gauge. I think you should probably ask Kamani for sure on that. I mean, I know that he had that patch where he was really struggling, and he didn't play one game, and I think he responded very well to that. A lot of guys that have had a role and an established role for a period of time, and then they weren't playing in a game. They could have just went in the tank, but he didn't. It shows a lot about his character, and for him to now again reassert himself so that we have confidence to want him to be out on the floor.
When you have confidence going into a season of like your offense, we're going to be able to score points, and it doesn't unfold that way, just how frustrating is that for a coach?
It's puzzling at times, and then you're trying to figure out why. But yeah, I mean, I think we have some good pieces. We have guys that could go off the dribble and create like Remy, and we have an inside presence that could score. And when you have those two components, then usually other guys will benefit from it, and the quality of their shots will actually be better than what like a guy like Remy or Melo will get because of the attention they're going to get on defense. So I just think it's going to come down to us really taking seriously that, hey, I may not get 10 shots in a game, or I may not get 15, whatever the number is. When I do have my opportunities, I need to take advantage of it, and so hopefully some of the other guys will start buying into that.
Did you shoot, I mean, with the free throws, have you changed anything up in practice this week in regards to that, or has it just been the same old thing?
Look, I mean, again, I can't resist that, I think we had a drill where we start with a free throw, and then we block out the free throw and we move to something else, and then we missed, and that was like the first one that we had in practice, so that made everyone had a nice little run after that. And then we just tried, and then I don't want to make it such a mental thing. It happened on Saturday. We're way capable of shooting it better. We can't do that on the road, so let's move on and let's watch it. Let's see it. Let's see the impact that it has on winning and losing, and then let's try and fix it.
What kind of challenges do Oregon State and Oregon present to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, Oregon State, you could tell they're a team that has not hit postseason in a couple of years, and they're playing with urgency. They're an older team. They got experienced players. They, Tinkle in Colorado was great. Thompson, they have guys that have been in a lot of big games in Pac-12, and guys like that, I know they realize the urgency. Tinkle does, being the player he's been in the conference, and you saw that grit that they had in coming back and beating Colorado, that they're striving to have a really good season. So we're going to be seeing a team that has the urgency, that wants to have a great season, to see how how far it takes them in Pac-12. And that's what I see on film, so certainly got to be ready for that. And then I'm not really thinking about Oregon yet.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Bob.
Bobby.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.